riders are community leaders. They're multi-generational. They're mothers, they're fathers, they're day laborers, they're workers, they're students, and they're drawing inspiration from the undocumented youth movement that has led the country forward. And throughout the country, the purpose of the riders is not only to overcome their fear, but to also pose a moral dilemma to sheriffs like Sheriff Hamilton, who claims he has no choice, but he does have a choice. And the riders are coming to Austin to pose that moral dilemma and have the sheriff stand on the right side of history, to have the sheriff stand with the riders and stand with the community. And that's why they've come so far. We're here this afternoon, this very warm afternoon, calling on Sheriff Greg Hamilton to stop being an accomplice in the unjust deportation and detention systems that are creating a public threat to our community safety, that are separating families, and that are just wasting taxpayer dollars. We believe that families belong together. Nuestras familias deben de estar unidas. If anybody should be separated, it should be ICE and local law enforcement.
I want to thank President Obama for the chance that he has given us, all of the dreamers, in order to get a work permit and everything. But we cannot forget about all of those who were left out in this great opportunity. I want to remind everybody that we all have parents, that we all have family here that was not included in that. And as much as we thank him, and yes, it's a great opportunity, he's leaving mothers, fathers, brothers, and sisters out. And we have to fight for everyone. We have to remind ourselves that we're not just individuals. We have our families next to us, and we don't want to be separated from them. I don't want to wake up tomorrow and someone tell me that my mother got taken away by immigration. I don't want that to happen. I came here to this country when I was 10, and I love this country. This country has given me so many opportunities. It has given the whole dreamers, the whole dream team, it has given us the chance of a better life, of a better opportunity, and we just want to give back. We want to repay the United States all that the country has given to us. So for that, we want to fight for everyone who's not included in this opportunity.
Many of us have undocumented people in our families. I come from a really big family, and we are all just girls. We just have my mom because our dad isn't with us anymore. My mom works really hard every day so we can have a good life and be happy. I'm afraid that one day she might go to work but get pulled over and never come back home. Our family will be separated. We will be alone. I will be really sad because my sisters and I will be separated and they might get adopted. Because of secure communities, we might never see each other again, and this is unfair. If you get pulled over something little, you could be deported because you don't have papers. And why does this law just apply to Mexicans and other immigrants? Why do we have to separate families just based on skin color? This is just like when white people were separated from black people. People with papers get treated one way, and people without papers get treated another way. People come to the USA to have a better life, to have hope. People should have the right to move wherever they want for a better future and better jobs. My mom said she came here to give me and the rest of our family this. This is what hope is. Me and all these kids are up here fighting with me and friends and families to change this law and win the life that we deserve. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rocio Villalobos. I am the Hutto Visitation Program Coordinator with Grassroots Leadership, and I'm also a member of Texans United For Families. Thank you all for coming and helping us welcome the Undocubus riders who are here traveling from Phoenix, Arizona on their way to the Democratic National Convention. We felt it was really important to focus on detention and the importance of learning more about what's going on in the detention centers, because in this state we have more detention beds than any other state in the U.S. And on any given day, about 34,000 people are detained in the U.S. and more than 400,000 go through detention and deportation each year. So it's a really important and pressing issue that people need to know about. And so our panelists here are going to share a little bit about their experiences with detention and organizing But then we'll also talk about ways that you can get involved locally around detention and visitation and the kind of impact that you can have if it's something that you would like to be involved with. So just to introduce our panelists, we have Hope and Naz Mustakam from Waco, and they'll talk about their experiences that they underwent as Naz was detained for almost a year at Pearsall Detention Center. And we also have two Undocubus writers who are joining us, Fernando Lopez and Angel Alvarez, who will also share a little bit about their experiences with detention and the type of organizing that they started doing around those issues in immigration. So thank you all for coming here and for sharing your experiences. So just to start us off, can you share a little bit about your experiences with detention and just talk about where you were detained, how long, what you saw and experienced, and
I was detained in Pearsall, Texas from March 31st till February 7th of this year. So that's about 10 months, a little bit over 10 months. It's the conditions in there is basically like a jail, except that it's like a shelter for 100 people for each dorms. We have multiple dorms in there. And we can't see the outside, so we are covered with concrete blocks, and this is supposed to be how do you call it? What kind of holding? Civil holding, right? But even like in prison, you get to go outside. They have rec area, but we don't get that. The only rec area we have is like an outside of our dorm, which is covered with like 20 feet concrete, and then is caged in, and it's the size of this room right here. And there's 100 people in our dorms, and then we get fed breakfast at 4:30 in the morning, lunch 11:30 in the morning, and dinner at 4:30 in the afternoon. So that leaves you 12 hours till the next meal, and we usually get hungry by then, and it kind of like forces us to buy something out of our own pocket for commissary. And some people who are detained, who got detained crossing the border or don't have any money, don't have any support, they are left out. They are left out, and the phone calls cost us a lot. While we're going through, it's like about $400 a month for us to keep in contact each day, because I see people in there whose family got torn apart because they don't have constant contact. I see people with I know a man in there who has 5 children, and his wife had to leave him to find another man so that she can be supported, and so that she can be taken care of. And finally, that man was deported back to England. And there's also another man who was deported to Haiti. Same situation. They've been here since 5 years old. So, and I've seen a lot of stories, and the officers in there, they don't have the mindset that, okay, this is just a civil detention, just holding them till their court process takes place. They get on this authority power trip, and so they treat us like a regular criminal and say and shout at us, scream at us sometimes. They go through our belongings, our lockers every so often, every shift pretty much. Because there's nothing much to do except to play soccer or watch TV or go to sleep. The detainees start making rings, little art project and stuff. And when they find it, and they make little frames out of ramen noodles packet, and they're very artistic and very creative. And whenever the guards find it, they'll just take it and throw it away. They just throw it away. They don't care how it make us feel or anything. And also with the medical aspect of it, they don't have the proper staff or to actually deal with what they've gone through. I reported sick a few times. It takes 2-3 days before I get to see somebody, a nurse. They don't have a licensed doctor. They have practitioners in there. And one time there's this one guy who had alopecia from stress, right? And so when they came to report sick, it's like they're supposed to see a psychiatrist to be able to talk to them, but they say like, oh, that's just stress. You just need to drink water. Here's a ibuprofen. They like to give out ibuprofen for some reason. Yeah, anything wrong? Here's ibuprofen, a pack of it with 10 of them. It's like so. But the process of just immigration court, it took a long time. But the detention center.
How did you get detention?
I got into detention. I was a green card holder, and I committed some crime before, which revoked my status of green card. They picked me up 5 years after the crime. You know, after I've changed my life, got a house, got married to my wife.
He didn't. When he pled guilty to what he pled guilty to, his attorney did not inform him. His attorney didn't even realize he was not a citizen until long into the process where he was advising him to take a plea bargain. And so his attorney didn't know how it would affect his immigration status. The DA or the judge in that county did not. They said, you know, this could affect your status. You could be barred from coming back into the U.S. if you ever leave. You could. And he's like, okay, well, either go to court and possibly face a 25-year prison sentence, which they were kind of scaring him with, or take a plea bargain and get 10 years probation. He's like, you know, I've been doing well for the past 2 years. He'd gone through treatment. And he'd been doing really well for 2 years. He'd been on probation, he'd been monitored for 2 years, and started getting really involved in our community. And he said 10 years probation, you know, that'd be good. And so he took this plea bargain and went on with the rest of his life. And so 5 years later, after he met me, we both worked for an organization in Waco called Mission Waco. And we met and got married and bought a house, and he had finished college while I knew him. And we just started planning our roots in Waco and just trying to be part of. We have a 30% poverty rate in Waco, and so we really had a heart for this community. And so into it, you know, federal immigration agents came knock on our door at 7 o'clock one random morning and told him that, hey, when you pled guilty 5 years ago, that actually revokes your status. So we're going to take you in for an administrative arrest. And so that administrative arrest, which they told us he could just post bail the same day, turned into a 10-month detention. And so,
and because of my conviction, I was put on mandatory detention. That means that there's no bail, no parole, or anything, that I have to be in the detention center while I await my court dates. And the funny thing is that, well, because they think that I'm dangerous a threat to society, right?
No, they don't think that. The law says, the mandatory detention laws pulls any discretionary, any power that a judge used to have to use discretion and say, you know what, it looks like you've been doing good for 5 years. We're not going to waste tax dollars to keep you here. Go home. We'll see you in 6 months. Any authority that judges used to have in 1996, that was stripped from them. And so even though, the ICE officer could say, yeah, I see you're doing fine, yeah, it might be pointless for you to be here, but sorry, mandatory detention laws, like our hands are tied.
Because I've been on probation for 4 or 5 years before they picked me up, and going to work, pay my taxes, and being a productive member of society. And suddenly with this mandatory detention, I have to be detained. Like I heard the gentleman said, because the government is paying this private company $100 and something a night for each person like me, while there are other different type of solution, maybe ankle monitor or whatever.
Or even community based.
Yeah, so, but yeah, that is my part. That's my experience while I was in the detention center from the inside. And my wife has a whole different aspect of detention center from the outside when she comes to visit me.
Yeah. But, I'll just say, as a family member of a detainee, and U.S. citizen born, it kind of makes no difference. You feel like any rights you had are stripped away. I rarely talk about it from that point of view, and I'm really glad to get the opportunity to share. Because for 10 months it was me fighting for him to get him home, but I think it's one in every three detainees is either married to or has U.S. citizen family. And so just to think about all any type of rights you thought you had, or no, this can't be done to me. It's everything. You're completely humiliated. You're completely powerless. And not only was his life put on pause, with his job and his career and everything, but my life was too. I'm a student at Baylor, and in social work, and everything was put on hold because when you're there, when you're in the funnel of getting your court case processed, you don't know at the end. You know when the next master hearing is, where they kind of line them all up and say, see you in a month, 6 months. You know when the next kind of hearing is, but it's so far out to your final hearing that you don't know when it's going to end. And even at your final hearing, they could still postpone it, which happened to us several times. We had over 10 hearings. And so I didn't know if he was going to get deported immediately. Like, we didn't know how soon that was going to happen. I didn't know if I was going to finish college. I didn't know how long it was going to be. So I didn't know, do I need to sell our house that we just bought 3 months ago? Do I need to plan to transfer to somewhere in Singapore? What do you do? And so I had people saying, hey, I'll come live with you. I'll come stay with you to kind of ease the burden. I was like, well, I don't know if I want you to move in, because if he comes home in a month, it might be kind of awkward. And so just like there were days where literally he would have a hearing the very next day, and we'd say, you know what, you're going to come home tomorrow. This will be done tomorrow. You're coming home. It's going to be good. And then it'd be like 6 months. And so your life is just constantly on hold, and your family, and everyone's afraid. My mom, dad, everyone's afraid that I'm moving to Singapore for the rest of my life and I'm never coming back, because he would never be able to come back. So it would be really rare that I would come back. And so it's just little things like that we don't really, as U.S. citizens or Americans or whatever, that we don't really think about when it comes to immigration. It's like these little details like start killing you and just tearing you apart. And I've never struggled with depression in my life. I'm a very bubbly and outgoing person, and throughout this situation, like, I was diagnosed with situational depression and subscribed, antidepressants, and I was like, this is so, it just totally flips your life upside down. And it was just through awesome people and grassroots leadership and DWN and that kept us strong and kept our hope up that we weren't alone in this. Because I think if we would have felt like no one else was listening, no one else was there, we might have just given up. And because they push you to sign for voluntary departure while you're there. They just want you to sign, and they're like, you just go, because you're just gonna be here for a long time, so you should just sign. And so at times we were faced, we were trying to negotiate with the DA in Cook County, because that's where they kind of screwed up all of his paperwork. And so we're trying to negotiate with them, and they were saying, okay, you'd have to come back and serve 3 years in prison. And he's never been to prison. And so it was just like all this turmoil. And but we made it to the other end, but so many people don't. We're a rare, very small percentage that when we went back to visit another detainee last weekend in Pearsall, the lady at intake was like, so you've been here before? And we said, yeah, he was a detainee. And she's like, what's your status? He's like, I got my green card back. Like, we won. And she's like, really? Like, the people who work there, they think while they're working there that everyone there is bad, or that they're all going to lose because they're all shouldn't be here in the first place. So it was awesome to get to go back and be like, no, there are actually some people detained here that shouldn't be here, and that's our experience. I want these guys to be able to share.
Well, thank you for sharing. Y'all are obviously still healing from the consequences of that, but it's really important for people to hear and to know and to kind of find ways to get involved. So thank you. So now on to Fernando. Would you like to share what your experiences were in detention?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I think I'm getting a cold. So, I was on my way to, I was driving on my way to work. Normal day. I was trying to get early there to get some stuff done. And then some highway patrol just started following me. And after following me for a couple miles, he finally pulled me over. And luckily, I had been working with the community for almost like a year and a half, so I had contact with Giovanna, who will run a crisis line in the organization that I will be organizing with. It's called Puente. So I told her I'm getting pulled over. So I mean, I kind of knew. I mean, you're expecting it, you know. So I told her I got pulled over, so I might get arrested. And it actually happened. So the cop I asked him why he was pulling me over. He told me that my plates were suspended. I was like, why would that happen, or why that usually will be? Why will it be the reason? And he told me that probably because I didn't pay my insurance. And I was like, I just paid my insurance 3 days ago. I even had the receipt. I showed him the receipt. And he was like, oh, well, anyways, where's your ID and your registration and all that? And I'm like, well, I don't have an ID. And I only had my registration. And he was like, well, I don't know who you are. You might be a killer, or you could be some sort of criminal, a dangerous criminal. You could be a threat for society. So I'm gonna have to take you, your fingerprints. So he didn't tell me I was under arrest. He just told me I was in custody. So he took me to a small police station. He took my fingerprints. I obviously went through secure communities. So came up that my driver's license was suspended. I'm like, you just pulled me over because I don't have a driver's license. But they actually suspend your privilege to drive.
Can you share real quickly what Secure Communities is, in case people don't know?
Oh, Secure Communities, well, since 9/11, you know, has been being around because of terrorists, or, you know, like people that are here without, that according to them could be a threat for this country. So, but actually what it's about is just to try to see if you had been detained before, or if you had been deported before. And all this information goes to like agencies like FBI, CIA, like these big agencies, even like international agencies. So after that happened, I was just like in a little square. I like maybe 6 by 5 feet, and I was just waiting there for 2 hours. He was going through my stuff. He was like going through my wallet, like checking everything, and like, oh, what is this? Like, where do you get this? And I was so mad. Like, I never said that it was okay to go to my stuff. He was like touching everything, like really personal stuff. After that, someone came with that information that my driver's license was suspended. So I was like, well, what's gonna happen? Are you gonna give me a ticket? I wanted to know what was gonna happen. So he was like, I'm gonna take you to the county jail, 4th Avenue, which is Madison and 4th Avenue. It's in downtown Phoenix. It's one of the county jails that Sheriff Joe Arpaio runs. So I was taken there. I got arrested on a Friday, and they don't process people on the weekends. Saturday and Sunday they don't process people. Immigration. So I was taken there as, you know, like any other person who would have like done like something really bad, you know, like handcuffs and well, I don't know if you really know about this guy, you know, Joe Arpaio. He's like all about himself, and as soon as you go into the jail, it's like, oh, help Arpaio to deport illegal immigrants and stuff. Like, as soon as you get there, it's like all like a lot of psychological pressure. Like they make you feel like the worst criminal in this planet, even though I was like, I was just driving, I was just trying to go to work. So after the mugshot, they start like, oh, are you legal here? What's your, they don't even ask you if you have a social. They're like, are you legal? I'm like, I'm not gonna answer any questions. You never read me my rights. And they started getting really mad because I wasn't like giving up any information. They took my fingerprints again, and this guy was trying to make me sign my voluntary departure. And I told him, like, I'm not gonna sign. I'm not gonna say anything until I get my call. And you don't get to actually, you're not able to make any calls until you're actually processed already, until you're in tanks with a bunch of arrestees in there. So they get me there. I was just watching people like walking by, like being processed and being taken to tanks or cells. I'm like, why am I still here? Like they were just as soon as you show some resistance to what they're doing or what they're trying to do to you, they start putting more pressure on you. They start like making you feel like, they make it even longer for you because you're not making it easy for them. So since I had been like organizing a little bit and kind of knew about all this stuff, I was trying to talk to other people, like don't sign, don't give up, or don't say anything. And then they shut me up. They were like, stop doing that, go to the corner, don't talk to anybody. And I was like, really? I'm like, why? I'm just trying to help. So after that, this ICE agent came and he was like, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm kind of, I don't feel right now. So after I was processed, they took me to one of the tanks, and one immigration officer came and took me out. He was like, well, we don't have too much information. We didn't get too much information from you. We don't know if you're here legally or not. So just tell me if you don't have documents, you'll sign your voluntary departure and you're gonna be in Nogales tomorrow, which is the border, the other side. I was like, I haven't even called my lawyer. Nobody knows that I'm here, or at least like I think I should like call somebody before taking any decisions, and I haven't got the opportunity to do that. So he pulled me more to the side. He was like, okay, the officer that pulled you over. The thing is that I had a bunch of bumper stickers in my car, like about like yeah, so about like kind of radical messages. And then I also have a bunch of like flyers about marches and information about Beaten 70, know your rights stuff. So this officer told me, okay, the cop that pulled you over thinks that you're here illegally because all that stuff in your car. I'm like, why that has something to do with my status? It was like, it's Beaten 70, it's a target, it's about like immigration, so people who don't like it or who could be affected by it are against it. I'm like, I know a bunch of people who were born here that don't like it, so like, why are you actually like profiling me because I'm against it? And yeah, he got mad because I just didn't talk and I was telling him that. So he put me back in the tank. They moved me to another tank, and then a smaller tank with less people, and then to the other tank with more people. And then this other ICE agent came. He was like, okay, somebody came to pay your bail, but we can let you go because you have an ICE hold. I already had gone through 287G, which is the county sheriff to use immigration policies to actually, like, if you are suspicious of being here without papers, you're automatically, like, run under that, and that's how you get your eyes hold. So even though my bail was paid, I couldn't get released. And finally, like at, I don't know, I got arrested like at 11 a.m., like at 8 p.m. Finally, they're like, okay, if you don't want to sign anything, they even wanted me to sign this paper who will contact me to the Mexican consulate. But, I mean, just by signing that, you're actually accepting that you're from this country, and just saying that you're here, like, without papers. So it's just like everything. It's like it's a setup, you know. So you can, like, give them information without even realizing. And so after that, I was like, I'm not gonna sign that. Like, I told you, I'm not gonna sign until I get my call. Another thing is, like, you can call cell phones in this jail. You only can call homelines. So it was really hard because the crisis line, it was a cell phone, so I couldn't get a hold of anybody. And at this time, I was like, oh, I should have memorized some numbers. But, you know, you're not ready. You weren't expecting it. It's something that you're not doing anything bad, and this happens to you. But after that, it's funny. They put me in this tank, and they gave me my jail clothes, which is some red sandals, pink socks, pink underwear, and, you know, regular stripes. And they also give you a pink towel and a pink blanket. So that's your stuff right there. And they took me to another tank, like at midnight, and it was only people who had ice holes in this tank. And we were watching, like, everybody else in other tanks were, like, being taken away to cells, or taken to sleep, or just being processed, you know, faster than us. And it's concrete all around you. AC is always running. It's like 60, 15 maybe. It's always really cold. You only have these clothes. We were wrapping up ourselves in toilet paper because it was, like, really cold. Some people really can't take it. So like 1 a.m., 2 p.m., this other guy, which I was telling before, like, don't sign. We got separated, so he actually did. He signed his voluntary departure, thinking he was gonna be deported the next day. We were taken to the same cell, just him and me. But they put you in cages, like if you were, like, I don't know, it's really dehumanizing and humiliating for you, because you know you're not doing anything bad. So I told him, like, I asked him, like, what happened with you? He was like, I signed. I'm like, damn, okay. So we were taken to the same cell, and we spent the whole weekend. He was expecting, like, the next day to be taken away, and that happened. Another thing that happens there, like, if you get pulled over, arrested, and if you're processed, if you're arrested with over $200, they won't give you that money back. Yeah, they just keep. He told me he got arrested with he was coming from doing a job, and he got arrested with like $1,200, $1,270 something, and they only gave him the $70, and the rest of the money they just kept it. So we were just waiting there. Everybody gets to go outside except you. Well, if you're under like an ice hole, they treat you different, you know. They well, not different, actually worse. So we were there Saturday, Sunday, and Monday morning. So you don't see sunlight. You don't know what time it is. They never turn off the lights. The food is bad, you know. So we finally got to take a shower on Sunday with cold water, and it's already cold in there. So, and it's only 5 minutes. Your cell opens for 5 minutes, and then you have to go take a shower and come back, and you're locked up again. So finally Monday we were taken to ICE. We were processed. It's like, I don't know if they, well, I know they do it long because they want to make you feel tired. They want to make you feel desperate to get out of there. And your only option to get like the sooner there is signing, you know. So by the time that we got to ICE, they ask you for your information, when you crossed, when you came here, through where. So I didn't tell them anything. I'm like, I haven't been able to call my lawyer, haven't been able to do anything. And they got mad. She's like, oh, you don't want to talk. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna talk because I haven't been able to communicate with my people, you know. So he was like, okay, take him to the tank. And they talk to you in a way that, like, they trying to make you feel like really scared, or oh, what's gonna happen to me, or. And then during the whole process, I was just talking to people, you know, like learning people, why are you here, like what happened. A lot of people, like for no reason they were there, like for the, I'm sorry for the word, but for the, I don't know, it's really sometimes dumb how they work, because it's a lot of innocent people there that shouldn't be there. So we were there from like 10 a.m. until 6 without eating. The only thing that we ate that morning was like a cookie that they give you in 4th Avenue. So that's the only thing that we ate, and we were just waiting there. Since I didn't give them any information, they gave me a bond of $10,500 in order to get released. So I'm like, really? Where am I gonna get $10,500 from? So I finally got to talk to Giovanna, and she was like, oh, the lawyer's already working on your case. So to be honest, I was really thinking about signing, because I don't know, I couldn't like think about how am I gonna get $10,000, you know. So we were finally taken to Florence, which is a town where it's full of private prisons and military bases. And we were taken there in the bus. Before they put you in the bus, they threat you. They tell you, like, if you talk, if you get up, we're gonna make sure you don't sleep tonight. And but at that moment, you don't really want to talk, or you don't even want to like get up, you know. So we finally got there, and it's like a big warehouse. People coming in, coming out. People come, like buses full of people that just got picked up in the border. The thing is that the process there are like, again, like really long. It's desperating for some people. The way how they talk to you, the way how even they look at you. So that's just the center where you're processed. I was processed like at 3 a.m. I was just, I don't know, trying to stay up, because if you don't hear your name, then you're passed, and then it's just another deal, you know. So after that, I was taken to another prison, which is where is actually the detention, and I spent luckily only a month, because I had the community in my back. I tried to learn as much as possible once I was there, because sometimes we think we know, or sometimes we, I don't know, read articles about how it is, or we watch, I don't know, documentaries. But actually being there and talking to people in there, like knowing the situation, like why people are there, people that were just working, people that had been separated from their families for months, people that they're still waiting, they're hanging in the system, people from all over the globe, you know. It's not, some people can be deported. I met a few people, especially this guy. I don't really remember the name of the country, but it's a communist country. So they don't deport people back to communist countries, which I think is really dumb. So you don't get, since you can be deported, you can't be released either. So you're just waiting there. You're just hanging there for months. You don't have court. They don't have court. They don't have like they really don't have a case. They could apply for asylum, but to get asylum, you need to have like a really strong case, and they have to actually believe it. Even if you're saying, "Oh, my life is in danger," they don't really care. I mean, they want proof. But what kind of proof can you have? Like saying that, okay, someone is gonna try to kill me if I go back to my country. I was really amazed what the community did, and actually made me realize that how important it's to be part of a community or to be part of an organization. And I think the props will go to the community because it showed the power of an organized community. In less than a month, they raised over $10,000, doing car washes, making food, selling food. So I think when a community really wants to do something, it's really possible if we are, if we are focused, if we know what we're doing. So the reason why I'm here is I'm trying to expose those abuses in these jails. Also, like, what kind of jails they are? They're private prisons. Who are investing in these prisons? So trying to expose all this, I mean, it's about time. It has been going on for so long. And trying to connect communities through this too, because people affected by these detention centers are people from all over the globe. So that's something that connects everybody. So we're gonna be trying to talk about this, trying to organize with other people, with other communities that are also being affected by it. So I'm still facing a deportation process. I might get deported next year, but until then, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to expose these abuses, these situations, because it's enough. I mean, and they're making profit out of this. They're taking advantage of our struggle. It's about time, I think.
I was pulled over. I was doing a benefit show for HIV recruitment center that they have in New Mexico. And
Volume, please.
sorry, I said my name is Angel. I'm an undocumented. I was pulled over for a DUI, actually, and they pulled me over because I guess my light bulb on the plates was gone. I was in drag. I was doing a drag show for a benefit for HIV. So that the recruitment center that they have out there, they had their Thanksgiving dinner. So we did a food drive. We put a couple of shows together, so they could have a decent Thanksgiving dinner for that next Thursday. It was I think the next Thursday after that weekend. So I got pulled over for that, and the guy asked the policeman that pulled me over. He asked me if I was drinking. I told him no, and then which I was, but I was I didn't feel drunk at all. I was wearing contacts, and that was bugging my eyes in a way. So he got me out of the car, and he made the test, the sobriety test, and I passed it with heels and everything. So he said, props to me, they're like long heels. So I think I was okay to drive, and so he said, okay, so since you don't have a driver's license, I'm gonna take your car away, and I'm gonna let you go, get it right. So the other cop pulls over. And then he's all like, no, you're going in. We're going to go breath test you. So then the limit in New Mexico is at 0.08, I believe, and I brought 1.0. So it wasn't that much higher, but just because of that, they took me in. So I did 4 months in jail, and then I did 3 months in immigration. I was at MDC for 4 months, and since it was the holidays and like my courts will get canceled all the time, I'm very close to my family, so for me it was very hard for to be apart from my family for that long. I knew a little bit about my rights because I knew people from Puente before. I lived in Phoenix for 12 years, so I after the SB 1070 law came around, I decided to move to New Mexico just to run away from it. But it's still the same thing, you know, you're still kind of get caught up in it somehow. And so I thought it was running away from it was the best choice I had, and for me and my family. So we had decided to do that. I went back to school. I mean, I did different stuff. I worked with the community a lot. So yeah, I was pulled over. I did 4 months. It was very hard in jail because being gay and being in jail is very hard for a lot of people, especially with all the guys that are very homophobic, and so it's super hard being in there and being out. And I mean, I couldn't hide it. I was in drag when I went in, so everybody knew. I couldn't push it out for that one. So my situation in jail was okay overall. Yes, I had my confrontations here and there for my sexual preferences, and just from people that were still racist even in jail. Like Mexicans were with Mexicans, Puerto Ricans with Puerto Ricans usually, or white people with white people, blacks with blacks. Usually that's the way it was. I didn't care. I talked to everybody. We went to, when I was transferred to immigration, it's the same thing. Like he said, you can be in the toilet and there's the toilet next to you, and your knees could be bumping into each other, and you don't even have a divider, so you don't have any privacy whatsoever, nor in the showers. So it was just like being in jail. And I think I believe I paid for what I did wrong. I did 4 months in jail, and I think that was more than enough because the limit was 90 days of jail time for a DUI. I think that was the max. But since I had the no driver's license charge, they could have kept me there for longer. So immigration basically made me pay it again for that. I did 3 months there. They canceled, like you said, they canceled the courts, and it's very hard because you have the hopes up that, okay, you have the master hearing tomorrow, you're gonna get out, they're gonna give you a bond, or something like that's gonna happen, and it's a very hard turn down for us. And in immigration, it's also very hard because you have a lot of people who are being racist towards you, and a lot of like he said, they treat just the way they look at you is very hard. And so I identified with his story a lot because he made a lot of points, like for getting up, you had to be up at a certain time for everything, and the yard was just the same. So we didn't really get a lot of outside. There's 25 bunk beds in a room. It's probably like this size, and you have the showers, and there's no privacy at all. There's really nothing to do there. It's very hard, and I think that the things that made me strong at that point was the stories of other people that had worse problems than I did, and there was also other gay people there that were in the closet that got out when I was in there. So I believe everything happens for a reason, and it's true what he says. They're just trying to make profit out of you. They let you the meal for us was 5:30, and we didn't get to it until the next day at 6 in the morning. So it was a lot. So you had to buy it regardless, because you were gonna be hungry. And people who were coming in, it was very hard for them, especially if they didn't have any support from family members that were out here or anything like that. Visitations are great, especially during those times, because it gives you a lot of moral support. It doesn't matter if it's your family or if it's somebody else, but just the support of people. That feels great. I didn't get a chance to get visitations because I was detained at Otero Processing Center in New Mexico. So everybody was far from me. But just by the way that answering the phones, Giovanna, she helped me out a lot without knowing me that well. Puente helped me out a lot. My mom especially, and my family, with moral support and everything that they could do, and I'm very thankful for that. while I was in there, like he said, there's other people in there that had worse problems. There was, for example, I met a Turkish guy, and he was from Turkey. And I guess there's some different language, and if you're a certain language or a certain religion, they put you in jail or they kill you. So he couldn't go back. He had asylum. I guess he was asking for asylum, and he was there for 14 months, and I got out before he did. So by the time I got out, it was 17 months for him, and they just sit there and wait, and then you never know what's gonna happen. They try to pressure you to sign your voluntary. That's why I think that's why they do cancel your courts, or they're like, okay, so you're asking for this, we'll see you back in 3 months, or we'll see you back in 4 or 5 weeks. It's very hard being in there, and I think there's a lot of more stories out there that should be heard, and us as a community, we should probably work towards helping people who are in there who shouldn't really be there. Just moral support, it's all they need, a lot. It just helps out a lot when you know that there's somebody out there that cares for you and that you're not alone. I think that's one of the greatest parts out of everything, and family support. So when I got out, I decided to go back to Arizona, and I got with Puente, and I started helping out. And the reason I am in this bus ride today is because I want to be a part of helping people who are in there. I'm also in the process of being, deportation. I don't know if I am going to win my case or if I'm not, but I want to be a part of helping other people that are in there that shouldn't really be in there. I want to be a part of bringing courage to other people to stand up and fight for their rights as human beings, because nobody's illegal, we're all human beings.
Thank you all for sharing your I think your stories are all really important for us to know, but then to also know that there is room to push back and fight against these unjust policies regardless of your citizenship status. So in this part, I would like for you to share, what kind of organizing are you doing, what does it look like, and were you involved before, or was this experience with detention something that pushed you?
We had no idea about immigration issues at all. We kind of stayed out of it. Whenever you'd hear different opinions from different political parties, it was really over our head or just out of our radar. And we recently had started watching a documentary series in our community about immigration and about just one of them was about like labor in California. What was it called? But it was just about what it's like to be undocumented and to be paid so little and to work so hard. So we watched that one week. The next week we watched another one about border patrol or whatever, and it's like it was becoming part of our lives. And then the very next week is when they came knock on our doors. So it was almost like a really bad dream. I was like, we're just learning this, and our eyes are just starting to be open to immigration and the system, and then it just pops itself in our lives. And so we hadn't really known anything about detention. Didn't even know those things existed. Immigrant detention centers, I had no idea. And so when I heard that now there's like over 200 or something, varying in sizes over the U.S., his facility was about 1,800 people in STDC, South Texas Detention Complex. And so I had no idea that these things existed, and that one actually was in our own town. The Jack Harwell Detention Center is in Waco, next to the jail, and they were housing women there. And I had no idea that this was happening, and so they've been moved from there because the conditions were so bad and it was getting so much media attention. And so since then, I got connected with the Waco Dream Act Alliance and some really great churches there that were super supportive. And so now we're kind of the leaders of the Waco Dream Act Alliance. Before, it was just kind of like fly by night. They'd meet up and do some, whenever the Dream Act was up, back in 10 or 08 and 10. See, I didn't know anything about it at all. And so, they had their great time back then, but then it kind of died down. But now, we're starting to get active again. And since deferred action, the announcement came out that you can apply for deferred action. Waco Dream Act Alliance is like, okay, now we've got something to do. And so we're organizing now on, we're sending out flyers all over Waco. to get people to know what it is, who qualifies, who doesn't, what to watch out for. You know, because some people are going to try to take advantage of dreamers who might think, you know, this is our shot, and then they'll go to a notario or someone who says, like, give me this much money and I'll help you get your status. And, you know, so right now we're just trying to get the word out about deferred action, and we're having a clinic. We're teaming up with the Baylor School of Law, and some of the law students are going to be doing like a clinic. So if you can be able to make an appointment with a law student and have someone sit there and walk you through the application and make sure it gets done right. So that's our biggest project right now. And then just staying connected with everyone that we can. I was invited to speak at a conference in Ohio at a college there. It was actually the CCCU, the Council on Christian Community Colleges and Universities. Their annual conference they have is a different topic every year, and this year was seeing immigration through a biblical perspective, which floored me that I was like so excited that was happening. But he had one of his court dates on that same day, so I had to cancel, and then ended up I was driving there to his court date, and found out that they hadn't transferred him. He was still in Pearsall. He wasn't in Cook County. They told my attorney we're rescheduling everything. Just all of our friends were going to this hearing because this was going to be he was coming home, and then it got canceled, so I missed it on the conference. I mean, just all that. So anyway, we connected with a bunch of people, and we're just trying to share our story and do whatever we can to, whether it's with undocumented people or people who
we've been reaching out especially to the youth everywhere. Like in Houston, we went to speak, to share our story, what's going on, and to expose the injustice in detention centers, because the change is going to be gradual, it seems like, and so it is the new generation that is going to take action. We'll have to take action, and to put the proper people in place in office so that change can be made. You know, right now they're just battling between both parties. So, but yeah, WDAA, Waco Dream Act is the way we connect to other people for detention center, and with connect. And also I knew a guy in detention center, and still trying to reach out to him, trying to help out, and trying to keep in touch with those people who have bailed out of the detention center, and keeping in touch with them and seeing how it goes, because one of them says that they have to work, well, two, one's from India and one's from China, that they have to work every day, like 12, 14 hours a day, and not getting paid very much, just because they are undocumented, because they don't have the rights to work, and so they are taken advantage of. And so something has to be done, but I'm not sure right now what it is. But yeah, this is how.
Before I got pulled over, I worked with Generation Justice, and we did a lot of high school dropout prevention in New Mexico from UNM. Now I got with Puente. I think pushed me to Puente. I don't think I was pushed. I just noticed that how hard it really is, and how hard it is for kids. Like, I have 7 sisters. They're all younger than me, and I'm like their dad figure. So it was very psychological, hard for me and for them. I think one of the things that kept me up a lot was the little cards or drawings that they would send me while I was in there. And I think that's what helps me doing this. And in the Undocubus, what we are doing is we're trying to bring the word out and have Latino, any kind of people that are being discriminated against, to not be scared and to stand up for their rights. And we're trying to join other communities, learn from other communities from different states, see what their struggle is, and telling them our stories. And I think regardless of the decision of what happens in North Carolina, we made our goal, and our goal was to feel good about ourselves and to feel good about what we're doing. Sharing all the information, all the stories that we have with other communities, learn about their struggles, learn about what they're fighting for, and bringing communities together. And I think that's what's going to make a big impact on everybody's communities and lives.
I tried to I started just volunteering. I think my first contact with the movement was helping an organization called No More Death to collect water. They offer help in the desert. From there, SB 1070 came up. There was a vigil in the state capitol, met a bunch of organizations. From, I don't know, I went from trying to register people to vote, to volunteering my time. Just at some point, I was trying to teach basic English to a group of ladies, doing childcare, just as much as I could do for the community. And after the detention, I think was such a like encouragement and empowerment to say this is enough, no? And I think the main goal is to invite the community. I don't want to speak for them. I want to make them speak, by themselves, to expose, to talk about their situations. I mean, I know it sounds like 10 months, like 7 months, 1 month. There are people that have been 2 years, 3 years in detention, in war situations, and we're trying to invite these people to expose what they have been going through. I mean, we're millions of people, migrants without documents. I think we're a big force. People say like, we're trying to go to the convention center, to the Democratic convention. You can even vote. I'm like, I know people that can vote. We might not be able to vote, but we're taxpayers. We're consumers. We're workers. So I think if people really are conscious about the situation, we're gonna get somewhere. So what we're trying to promote with this caravan is not only go and ask Obama, do something. Of course he can do something. He can do more. That is not the only one to blame. There's also Republicans in the Senate, in the Congress. But not only that, it's through all this journey, meeting people, like he said, sharing stories, listening to testimonies. We want to get as much stories as possible to expose these. Spread self-determination in the communities, taking action, raising our voices. It's time for us to take the lead. Has been a bunch of movements of documented people trying to do something, or just politicians speaking in our behalf, and they don't even know what's going on with the community. We need the community, the ones affected, to speak. We need the ones that had been detained, the mothers that had been separated from their families, the kids. We heard like heartbreaking stories in Colorado. So that's the main goal, and also like I repeat again, self-determination. We have to rise up. We have to do something for ourselves, and that's at least my purpose for this trip.
He was asking why, since it's supposed to be the government kind of holding GEO and CCA and those accountable, what can we do, or why isn't someone kind of questioning the government for not, I guess, pushing them to go in and check it out? How can we get more accountability there?
This is what happened. We often get visits from by government officials, and they'll be escorted by ICE agents wearing suits. Before the visit, they would tell us to clean up your bunks, put everything nice in order, and when they come, everybody sit on your bunk and don't say anything. Yeah. And so they come in and look at us and wave, and we're like, do you wave at us? And sometimes, and in the facility, so-called undocumented people are not supposed to work, but they hire us to run the place, like the kitchen, serve the food for $3 a day for 5 hours, 6 hours work, heavy labor, and so they are kind of hiring undocumented people with such a low labor to run the facility. They hire about 120 detainees a day to run the facility. The officers just supervise, and so that's how they make their profit too.
They clean, they cook, they paint.
So when these visitors come to the kitchen, we are all supposed to go to the back. Nobody talks to them, and so everything looks nice. We're supposed to polish up everything so everything looks nice to them, and so everything hidden of what's going on because they can't even talk to the detainees of what's going on.
Yes. I'm sure where I was at, it was $1 for 8 hours stay.
$1.
And just to share with you a little bit about what you might be able to do here locally, the Tidon Hutto Detention Center is located 45 minutes outside of Austin, and women have been detained there for over 2 years there now. It was a family detention center in 2006. Family detention ended in 2009, and shortly thereafter it was converted into an all-women immigration detention facility. Most of the women there are asylum seekers. Most come from Central America, but something that they all share in common is that they are very isolated from the rest of the community. People in the surrounding city of Taylor don't know that the facility exists oftentimes. It's hidden conveniently behind a railroad track that's covered by railroad cars in the tracks. So oftentimes the community members have no idea that the women are being detained there. If the women have any friends or family members who are nearby, a lot of them are undocumented, and so they obviously cannot enter the facility, otherwise they would also risk detention. And so oftentimes the women spend months, even more than a year, close to 2 years, being detained without having little contact with anyone from the outside who knows about what's happening to them and who cares and who might be able to show them a little bit of compassion and support as they're going through this really difficult time. And so the Hutto Visitation Program has been in existence for a little over 2 years there now, and we have 3 main goals. We seek to break the isolation of detention. We seek to provide human rights observers in the facility so that we're able to not only provide compassion to the women and support, but to also monitor the conditions inside of the facility. And we also hope to create advocates of detention reform from the volunteers who get involved with the visitation program. So we have a sister coalition named Texans United For Families that does community organizing around detention that goes beyond visitation. And it's a really important way to get involved, to know about what's going on regarding detention and immigration issues in Texas and in Austin, and to start learning in that way and getting involved and learning more about what you can do, the power that you have to support people who are in detention and to push back against these really unjust policies. And for those of you who are interested in getting involved, we have a display there in the back that has some more information about the visitation program. We have brochures, and there is a sign-up sheet if you would like to take one and get in touch with us about when we are organizing our next program orientation. There is also cards that we'll ask you to fill out just as a showing of solidarity and support for the women who are detained at Hutto. If you'd like to write them a note of encouragement, whether it's in English or in Spanish, so that we might be able to send it to them. I think just having that reminder that someone on the outside who doesn't know you cares about you is a really important way and provides so much support for the women during a time that's really difficult for them when they don't know when they're going to be released, if they're going to be deported, if they're going to see their families, their kids again, and basically what's going to happen with their case. So we really encourage you to sign up to learn more if you're interested in getting involved and to fill out that sheet or fill out one of the cards so that we're able to send that to the women.